What's going on, guys? It's the RPO Podcast, and we're back. We are so glad to be here today. We're here with my man, TJ. How you doing today, TJ?
I'm doing good. Very eventful weekend this last weekend, and things are getting ever more complicated this weekend, which we'll get into. So plenty more to talk about, but yeah, it's been fantastic.
For sure. We got a live, good chat to talk about, a lot of stuff to talk about today. Ray, how you feeling today, my man? Ray Roberts.
I am good. I'm doing as well as I can be with as busy as I am at work right now. So
I hear you. Stay busy, man. And all you guys stay busy out there and stay safe because we got some news to talk about with that. So I'm going to get right into it. So, guys, we got some breaking news that happened a little bit right before we got on. Nick Saban has been tested positive for COVID-19. Therefore, there's a lot of speculations on how things are going to go right now with the team, with him, how the team's going to go on. There's some other breaking news that we're going to go into. The LSU versus Florida game has been postponed due to COVID-19 as well. And then I believe there was one more game. Vanderbilt versus Mizzou also got postponed due to COVID-19. So
and one more. Oh, yeah, you were about to mention it. Sorry.
No, go ahead. I think I was.
Yeah, Oklahoma State versus Baylor as well.
There you go. Oklahoma versus Baylor also got postponed as well. So we got a lot of big news that came up. So before we start our normal podcast where we talk about the games and stuff like that, let's get right into these breaking news. Ray, how do you feel about this news? How it's going to affect the rest of the season? What's your thoughts on what should be the next plan going forward, Ray?
It's a little disappointing that it's still happening, but I mean, I guess we kind of all expected it to happen somewhat. I don't know. I mean, I don't know how important it is for, Alabama to have Nick Saban on the sideline. I'm assuming that they're going to let an assistant coach the team now, but my question is, is there going to be anybody else tomorrow or the next day who tests positive also, so that could be the concern.
Yeah, TJ?
Yeah, I'm with Ray on this, and it's coming right before one of the biggest, most deciding games of the college football season. I mean, this game is going to probably decide which team might be like the second team to go to the college football playoff from the SEC, right? When we think of this year, that it's probably going to be a 2 SEC team year with the combination of Florida, Georgia, and Alabama at the top. And, you have the two squaring off in the regular season, and unfortunately – Nick Saban and their athletic director Greg Burns also tested positive as well. We don't know if it's obviously we don't know if it's an outbreak yet because they're probably now trying to get other tests back from the players as fast as possible, and we don't know. We don't even know probably the status of the game on Saturday. I mean, if it was contained to just those two, then I'd imagine we still get it. It looks like Steve Sarkisian will be the one to coach for Alabama, but it's really unfortunate, and we'll obviously preview that game later. But not having St. Nick on the sideline might hurt Alabama a lot, especially after the defense looked really, really rough last week.
Correct, and we wishes and prayers to everybody that got affected and is affected by this coronavirus. Guys, if you're out there, please just make sure you take care of yourselves, take care of your family. And don't, go by your state guidelines, and make sure you're going by that. Mask, sanitizer, clean your hands, things like that. Make sure we continue doing that, so this outbreak don't get anywhere. So please, take care of that. This is gonna have some crazy implications on the rest of the season because we were about to get Big 10 football in 2 weeks and the Pac-12 in 2 weeks. So this might impact that a little bit. They might want to hold off. So this is incredibly bad news at a really bad time. Start thinking about should we start the season now? And hopefully. I mean, obviously for us football fans, we don't want that to happen, but they gotta do what's best. So, Ray, you about to say something?
No, I just think again, it's just a shame that it's still going on. I mean, I hear doctors saying that somebody asked the doctor the other day, would you rather have a serum or antidote for this, or would you rather have everybody use a mask? And he says use a mask. And the fact that I still see people that still don't think it's that you should use a mask is kind of discouraging, to be honest with you. So.
Yeah, definitely.
So the one thing that the Big Ten and the Pac-12 have going for them is that they waited until they knew they had same-day tests available to use, which makes it so much it makes it so much easier to stop an outbreak when you can get a test back on the same day and you can immediately contact trace everyone within, let's say, a 2-hour span instead of a 48-hour span, right? So this is why I'm a little more optimistic of the Big Ten and the Pac-12 to be able to make it through their 7/8 game season in 8 weeks, because they're going to have the resources available to stop outbreaks. That's if people are responsible, but that's just what we're going to have to see, because obviously we're watching the SEC, we're watching all these other teams, and they're struggling with it a lot. I mean, it seems like teams are missing 15 guys off the roster every week, and no one's even batting an eye. So
yeah, it's definitely getting bad. So like we said, definitely take care of yourselves. Hopefully, this goes over, and we can get through this. So, all right, let's talk about some games of the week. Some great games of week 6. It was a crazy week. I want to get right into it because we got some big teams losing games. So let's get right into our regular games before we get to that. And I like to get some of the games that either we thought were close, or a team that we thought would win, or things like that. First off the bat, Louisville versus Georgia Tech. That game, and I'm looking at my notes now, I believe all of us took Louisville on that one, and we all struck out. They got killed 46-27. Ray, what's your takeaway from this game?
Well, like we said a couple of weeks ago after Louisville struggled, that maybe we overestimate how good Louisville really is. Maybe they're just not as good as we thought, pretty much.
Yeah.
So, I'm echoing with Ray. It's just like, so I checked the score of this game. I think I was watching Thursday Night Football, NFL, instead of watching this game, which was also on Thursday, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it was. So, I checked the score. It's like 21-7 Louisville. I'm like, all right, they're getting back right. They had a rough couple of weeks. They were injured. They're now healthy. Malik Cunningham's getting back to good. And then all of a sudden, I checked the score at the end of the game. It's 46-27. Really surprised, right? I mean, it was honestly pretty dead even across the board: yards, first downs, time of possession, et cetera, et cetera. Like, Malik Cunningham had a good day. I'm like, all right, so what's the problem here? Well, Louisville fumbled 3 times, and Georgia Tech scored a touchdown after every single one of those fumbles. And that would make up the difference in that score. So bad things happen when you turn the ball over, and it's really unfortunate for a Louisville team I thought was going to take another step this year, and they don't look very good.
Yeah, and in the third quarter, it was 27-26. And Georgia Tech had 20 points in the fourth quarter. And Louisville had no answer in the fourth quarter. It was just completely flat. Like you said, the fumbles happened. 3 lost fumbles. It was very very, very sloppy at the end of the game, and that's when you need to tighten up the game and put the game away. It was pretty close during the entire game. I believe it was 7-7 in the first quarter. It was 21-14 in the second quarter. Third quarter, it like I said, 27-26, and then it just got out of hand. So Louisville, as we all thought was going to be better this year, they haven't been better this year. So maybe they can pick it up somewhere. I don't know. But let's get to our next game. It's going to be let's go Virginia Tech versus UNC. Ray, I'm gonna start with you again with this one because that is your team. You love this team. How do you feel about that team? It's closer than we all thought it was going to be.
Well, a little disappointed in North Carolina's defense, to be honest with you. They haven't really played great all year, but this was really sloppy for them. So,
yeah, And and North Carolina had this game in hand. It was 42-17 in the second quarter. I mean, they were just rolling. Touchdown. And then the offense, stymies up a little bit in the third quarter, and Virginia Tech starts marching up and down again. Khalil Herbert, running back for Virginia Tech, had another really good game. I mean, quarterback play was a little inconsistent for Virginia Tech. Sam Howell for UNC had just another really, really, really good game. I mean, I think that dude might be the Heisman frontrunner next year. He is so good. And this North Carolina offense is just loaded full of playmakers. And lucky for them, they don't have to play Clemson during the regular season, right? Yeah. So the ACC this year, they'll take the top two teams, not division-wise. They'll just take the top two teams from the ACC, right? So they get to play Notre Dame, which both of them now are top 5 teams. North Carolina clocks in at number 5 this week. Notre Dame at number 4. Later on, I believe that's Thanksgiving weekend, they play North Carolina, and that is going to be a big, big, big matchup.
Definitely. You know what? I actually take my takeaway from this game is a little bit more on the Virginia Tech side. I think that we're sleeping on them a little bit. This one of those teams that I didn't think would be as good as they are, but they're proving to me that they're a better team than I thought. And this is a team that you can't just go in and thinking that you're going to win anymore. Like in the past couple of years. Like you really have to play against these guys because they're coming to play. Their only loss was this loss, and I think they've been playing very well so far.
I totally agree. And they were ranked coming into this matchup, and they look about anywhere from a top 20 to top 15. Ranked team. North Carolina maybe a couple steps ahead. I mean, at the end when Virginia Tech had that, that storm of points to come back and nearly tie the game, I believe they came within 5 points. Then North Carolina and Sam Howell are all right. They marched down and scored 2 touchdowns on 2 consecutive drives and keep Virginia Tech out. So, I mean, quarterback ultimately the ultimate X factor in this game, which we did see at the end, and Virginia Tech didn't really have anyone to lean on.
Definitely. All right, let's get to our next game. Iowa State versus Texas Tech. I had high hopes for Texas Tech. I think I was the only one that chose Texas Tech last week, if I'm correct. Yeah. So I picked them. They disappointed me. But do you guys think that Iowa State is now back in it? Like they had a couple sloppy games, didn't look that well. Prudy actually had a pretty good game this week. Actually, a really good game this week instead of how he'd been playing lately. What you guys think?
I mean, I definitely think they're back in the Big 12 race because that loss to Louisiana week 1 has nothing to do with the Big 12 standing. So rankings wise, AP college football, that's going to hurt them a lot. But, playing in the Big 12 and winning the Big 12 championship, that makes no effect. And you have the top 2 dogs that we'll talk about here in a little bit, not playing up to their standard. And it's essentially now it looks like Iowa State and Oklahoma State for this, for the front runners, at least for this Big 12 title, which is, kind of bizarre to think about that neither Oklahoma or Texas will probably be in that spot. But yeah, I mean, Iowa State had the most complete all-around offensive effort we've seen. I mean, Breece Hall had 135 yards, 2 touchdowns. Purdy was efficient. He was accurate, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions for him. And Texas Tech didn't score a touchdown until the fourth quarter, offensive touchdown until the fourth quarter, because their score in the first quarter was off a blocked field goal. Yeah. On the Texas Tech side, I didn't get to watch all this game, but I know Alan Bowman got benched and he looked terrible.
Yeah, he was coming off an injury too. So
yeah. So it's it's hard to really judge, but he didn't make it. He got benched in the fourth quarter when they were losing. So a little bit of injury, but nonetheless, bad play at the quarterback position, and Texas Tech just didn't look like they had it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I think that's the difference. We're seeing is Brock Purdy has cleaned his game up a little bit. He's been playing. He struggled early. He's getting better. And like TJ said, they have a shot at their conference, but that's pretty much it. But again, you win your conference championship, that's something to talk about. So, I mean, again, Purdy cleaned up his game. They played better. Hopefully they can just build on it and go from here, so.
Definitely. I agree with that, right? I definitely agree with that. All right, let's go to our next game. Auburn versus Arkansas. Man, close game. Close game.
So lucky.
Yeah, Ray, what do you think about that game, Ray?
Oh my God.
I think that it was kind of a sloppy game, really. I mean, really, I think we all picked Auburn to win the game, so we were right technically, but it wasn't as clean as we would have liked Auburn to play. Their defense struggled a little bit last week, and they hadn't really done that yet this year. So,
TJ,
I mean, Bo Nix got outplayed again. I mean, he was not good. Again, Felipe Franks, I was like, that's what Florida was envisioning the whole time before he transferred. I mean, he comes to Arkansas. He played really well in this game. He had 4 touchdowns, over 300 yards. Meanwhile, where's Bo Nix's line? I mean, he didn't even throw for 200 yards again. And, he's playing an inferior opponent as a ranked team at home. And they probably should have I can't remember who ended up recovering the spike at the end of the game. But you both saw it. Clearly threw that ball backwards.
Yeah.
With a fumble.
Yeah.
Not a fight. The ref called it just an intentional grounding. But he clearly turns around and throws it backwards.
That was probably
after review. They said, oh, there's nothing conclusive. I'm like, I'm seeing it's pretty conclusive for my television.
Yeah.
And so Auburn was able to get another chance and kick a field goal because they missed a field goal on their drive before. Yeah. And Carlson knocks it through this time, escaping with a 2-point win. But I just can't buy Auburn. I can't do it. They haven't looked – they've played one good half against Kentucky, and now they're pretty much just riding the fact that they were ranked high preseason because otherwise they don't really deserve to be ranked where they are. They haven't shown it.
We got what we get from Bo Nix. He's not as consistent. 1 week he's good, the next week he's average. 1 week he's good, the next week he's average. If it wasn't for Tank Bigsby and his 146 yards rushing, their offense would have been nothing. So,
And this is what I was talking about preseason as well. It's just that, what are we going to see from Bo Nix in year 2? Because that was the same exact thing that you've seen last year, and I've seen no improvements. It's the same exact thing. Inconsistencies with him. You never know if he's going to have a good game or he's going to have a bad game or it's going to be mixed throughout the game. And then also, like me and Ray were saying in the preseason as well, the fact that they lost so many pieces on defense. It's really showing. It's really showing. So now that, that's happening, Bo Nix have more to bear on his shoulders rather than the defense, bailing him out in a lot of senses. And like TJ said, they got very, very lucky on that last play, that very controversial play, because that should have been a fumble and they probably should have lost that game.
Yeah, and I'm looking at, I went back and, again, I looked at, the recruiting rankings of his class, and, the guys behind Bo Nix are playing really well.
Yeah,
and Bo Nix up there at number 1. I mean, he's at Auburn. He's got all this talent around him, and he just looks like he hasn't been able to put it together yet, which is unfortunate.
You keep thinking this year maybe he'll step up and get a little bit more consistent. It's just not happening. Let's face it, the kid is a solid athlete, but he's not a great quarterback. That's all there is to it.
Exactly.
Definitely. All right, let's get to our next game. K-State versus TCU. 21-14, K-State wins. Are they ready to be ranked now? Can we give these guys a ranking already?
They're ranked, I thought.
Yeah, no. I'm just.
They're ranked. Yeah. This game was gotta say, not the most entertaining one of the day. It's not too often you see a Big 12 game only 21-14, but Max Duggan was not very good. We've been hyping him up. Hyping him up a lot, and he did not play very well. I'm trying to pull up the box score really quick without a video opening on my screen.
Well, the stats were okay. He was 19-31, but only 154 yards, so we didn't do anything downfield.
Yeah.
And he's another one. He's inconsistent, and he's not even inconsistent from week to week. It's drive to drive. Yeah. 1 week he looks okay, the offense looks okay. Then the next drive they're like they aren't doing anything. So again, it was a low-scoring game for these two teams, especially. And honestly, K-State didn't get Deuce ball enough last week. To be honest with you, not enough for me anyway.
Especially when you're not playing with your starting quarterback. thought that was very odd.
Yeah.
You have to be imaginative and find different ways to get the ball in this kid's hands, and they didn't, so.
Yeah, and but Will Howard, I know I've heard they like him a lot, but he did about as much on the ground as he did through the air, and it was a really, it was a slow game, but K-State was able to come out on top, and they'll be continue to be ranked.
Yeah, I mean, I think that they this is one of those games where you can't get a real big assessment on them offensively because they didn't have their offensive player, their quarterback Skylar Thompson. He was out for the game. You had a quarterback that they said they liked, but he wasn't really. You could tell he wasn't a passer really. So they had to change a lot of stuff up for him, and obviously he had 80 rushing that game, rushing yards that game. So he tells you a lot about who he was and what scheme they had to use for him. So, all right, let's get to our next game: the Pitt Panthers versus Boston College. Overtime game. Boston College wins by 1 point. Ray, what's your assessment in that game?
Well, you know how I feel about Phil Dracovic. His completion percentage was only like 55%, was not great.
Yeah.
But to get 350 yards and 3 touchdowns on that, just tells you. I think as he grows, this team will get better. And offensively, they don't have a lot outside, but they have a really good tight end. I just don't know if I like Dracovic. Everybody knows that. I've been talking about him. I wanted Notre Dame to play him last year. And honestly, as I watch him play more and more, I get more and more frustrated, to be honest with you. So, but he's a good player, and he stepped up. And, again, Pittsburgh defense was a little bit disappointing in this game. So,
definitely.
Yeah, the Pitt defense has been not very good the last couple of weeks.
Nah, their front seven has not gotten enough pressure on the quarterback. They're just not. They're not doing enough. So.
Yeah. So Kenny Pickett looked good again for Pitt. But I gotta go back to Dracovic because like him, Zay Flowers, who caught a couple of long touchdowns in this game, receiver out wide for Boston College, and Hunter Long again, all had really good games. Comes down as an overtime, and winning on a missed extra point is always it's a little fluky, but makes the kicker hate himself at the end of the day. There's a lot of offense through the air in this game. Neither team really ran the ball very well. I mean, Boston College only had 2.5 yards a rush, I think. Pitt, I don't think, did much better. But yeah, it was a pretty crazy game.
The good thing about Boston College is they didn't give up on the run. So then play fakes them. That's why they were able to hit them shots downfield because they were showing the run. And with a guy with Dracovic has, it was everything, man. He had size. He's a pretty good athlete. He could throw the ball downfield. He stood out. So,
Definitely. All right, let's get to our next game. This is a head scratcher. We were talking about this team so much last week, and they completely flopped. We're talking about Mississippi State versus Kentucky.
Mike Leach.
What happened?
Oh man, he's back. Right, he's back.
Revolutionary offense. They got together now. The air raid is gonna dominate now, and then this.
All right. So can I go first on this one?
Go ahead.
Can I go point? Okay. So I have a tweet up that so obviously Mike Leach, Mississippi State, they lit the world on fire when they torched LSU week 1, which honestly now doesn't look like that much of an accomplishment because Mizzou did the exact same thing this past weekend. So since beating LSU in the opener, Mississippi State offense has completed 29 drives. They have scored on just 2 of them. 2 of them. They've had 11 punts, 9 interceptions, 4 turnovers on downs, a fumble, a missed field goal, 1 to end the half, and 2 touchdowns. That's not good. That's not going to cut it. And it seems like, obviously, with the superior athletes in the SEC, the coaches, they watched what Arkansas did against them the first time, And then Kentucky did the same thing this time. I mean, it's not working. And Costello has not been good either. He's thrown nine interceptions on the season to just 6 touchdowns. And Mike Leach, again, coming out after the game this week and was doing some finger pointing at the players. He obviously said the coaching staff needed to do a better job, but he also mentioned that he needs to purge some players from the program all 3 weeks in. So
I missed that.
Not liking what I'm seeing from Mike Leach. And it he was at Washington State. He was never, ever able to win the big game by that. I mean, beating Washington. And now that he's in the SEC, every game seems like a big game, and he gets that big win, against the top 10 team, and now it's just,
Right. They had 6 picks in this game. 6 picks. I don't think I've ever heard of a single team throwing 6 picks since I've been watching football. Ray, what do you think, man? What do you think?
TJ said anytime the coach is out there questioning how good the players are on his own team, tells you 2 things. Tells you, 1, he's not happy with his roster completely. 2, he needs a quarterback that is his guy. And let's face it, KJ Costello showed what he is, man. He's just not that good.
What a 360.
I was hyping up KJ Costello week 1, and I was really optimistic going into the season because he was always in the Stanford system, which really restricts what quarterbacks could do. Right, it's really pro style, it's run heavy, and now he's going to an air raid offense. With a coach that Mike Leach wanted KJ Costello. He said you're going to come here and run my system, and KJ loved the idea, and he looked great week 1, and then all of a sudden teams adjust. And we don't know what to do. I mean, the knock on Mike Leach is that he doesn't adjust. And we can see that through 2 weeks. They scored 2 touchdowns with supposedly when the offense is supposed to be the mainstay of this team.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, like you said before, though, they're just not the win against LSU looked nice on paper. But now that you've seen LSU play a couple more games, you just say they're just not that good. I mean, they've lost too many players.
Yeah. It's hard to replace, 18 starters on a roster when 14 of them are in the NFL.
Anytime you lose guys and you're losing first, second round players in the NFL draft, you know how good they were. Everybody remembers what Joe Burrow was last year. And KJ, I'm sorry. LSU is just not that good. And that week 1 win was more now people are adjusting. And Costello, again, he can't do anything out of the ordinary. He's not a great athlete. He likes to chuck the ball, but so does every other quarterback I've ever seen. So,
Except Ian Book.
I had to say that after I just got done talking about Jacoby 3 minutes ago. Come on, man.
We're definitely going to discuss the LSU thing in a second. But I want to get to one hype team after that, one really hype team against LSU, to another really hype team coming into the season. The Florida Gators playing Texas A&M. They lost 38-41. Now, a lot of the hype around Florida was their explosive offense, which they still had, and it was very explosive. They got 38 points in that game, but their defense totally let them down. Texas A&M beat them. Texas A&M looking like a pretty decent team this year. I want to know what you guys feel about this matchup. Ray, you start.
It just wasn't. It wasn't a good game. It just was really a bad game to watch. To be honest with you, Florida's not. They are just not as good as we thought they were. I don't think. So.
Well, obviously I thought their offense would be able to bail them out all day. I was hoping the defense could at least get a stop because Florida was marching up and down on offense. I mean, it was no problem at all. I just, I had a problem with their play calling on that last drive. They had a 2nd and 10 and they took the ball out of Kyle Trask's hands and ran it, and the running back fumbled, and that allowed Texas A&M to, go get the game-winning field goal when Florida was driving for the win. And I was a little curious about that. But I didn't think this was anything off brand from what we've seen from Florida this year. They just mostly been able to get away with just overpowering the other team with their offense. And when they match up with a team that's more equal in talent across the board, it's a little more difficult to score as many points. And, Kellen Mond was able to look decent 2 weeks ago against Alabama. I mean, they didn't really have that much trouble moving the ball against Alabama. So it's like, why would they have that much trouble moving the ball against Florida, which has gotten shredded by South Carolina and by Ole Miss? And then come into this game and they go on the road for the first time and their defense gives up yards. I mean, it's on brand. We were just waiting for a fix that hasn't happened yet. That's what we were doing.
Definitely. They gave up a lot of passing yards and they gave up a lot of running yards. Like they couldn't stop the pass or the run. Ray, what were you about to say?
Talking about two in Trask and Mond, you're talking about two quarterbacks that aren't consistent. I mean, neither one of them are consistent. So it was like, who's going to win this game? I guess the quarterback is a little bit more consistent. Kellen Mond's actually played better so far this year than he did last year. So,
correct.
I think Kyle Trask has been pretty consistent this year. He's had a couple of questionable interceptions, but like when he's throwing to Pitts, I mean, it's almost automatic.
TJ, you could throw to Pitts, okay?
I could throw to
Pitts. And you're talking about a top.
Kyle Trask has been one of the top 5 quarterbacks.
The NFL player drafted best tight end in college football this year, one or two. And again, any competent quarterback could throw the ball to that guy.
Yeah. I don't know who said it on Twitter.
Even Ian Book. Sorry, Jerome.
I don't remember who said it on Twitter, but there was a stat that went out was that Trask was throwing accurate to everybody else except for Pitts. Everybody else he would throw accurate to, and in Pitts he would throw it like crazy, and Pitts was like bail him out a lot of times where the ball wasn't where it should be like on point, where it's like and it was more like Pitts had to go up and get it almost every time. So
well that is Pitts' game too. So
yeah,
throw it to him when he's not open, and he'll make a play for you.
Well, he's good.
It was a pretty crazy game. I was pretty shocked to see Florida lose, though.
He's good. Yeah. He's good at adjusting to the ball when it's in the air. That's probably one of the best things he does. So,
All right, let's get into our next game. We're going to talk about Texas versus the Oklahoma Sooners. This is a really good game. It came down to 4 overtimes. Almost went into the 5th overtime. They missed the field goal at the end and couldn't get it. TJ, how you feel about that game? I believe me and you were texting during this game.
It was pretty. This was probably the best worst game, if I were to put it that way. I thought both teams were incredibly sloppy. Both quarterbacks looked like, outside of like the final 3 or 4 minutes for Sam Ehlinger, he wasn't very good. Rattlers could not get the ball down the field the entire game. I think he ended regulation with 130 passing yards, which I never thought I'd see from a Lincoln Riley quarterback. The defenses were, again, inconsistent. Oklahoma on brand, blew a 2-touchdown lead with 4 minutes to go. Texas down 2 touchdowns with 4 minutes to go, on brand again, stormed back and took this in overtime. In the 3rd overtime, Oklahoma blocked a field goal and then missed a chip shot field goal. Which is like, oh my God. It's like, guys, can we just end this already? This is just a disaster. We know you guys both aren't you don't have it this year. And then Oklahoma gets an interception in the end zone.
Nobody wanted to win. Like you said, I think anyone wanted it was pretty big, and they had all the momentum, and all of a sudden it just snapped and stopped. And
sorry, Jerome, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say it cost what's his name? The quarterback. I'm blanking on his name for some reason.
Rattler.
Homer, Texas.
Yeah, Rattler. It cost him to get benched. He actually got benched. A lot of people was like, "Oh, maybe he's injured." No, he actually got benched. Even Riley even said it, like he sat him down for a little bit and let him play the second half, and he played a lot better in the second half. But it's just crazy how it took all that for him to start playing. Ray, what was you gonna say?
I mean, Texas ran the ball well. And with Ellinger is more of an athlete than a quarterback. I mean, I keep saying he's a fullback that plays quarterback for them. So, again, like TJ said, it's really, really a sloppy game. It didn't seem like either team really wanted to win until one of them won, so.
Yeah. And this was a great opportunity for one of these teams to come out and be like, all right, we're turning our season around right here. We're running the table, etc. Neither of these teams gave me any confidence that they were going to do that. I mean, even when Oklahoma had a 2-touchdown lead, it just didn't. It didn't seem like they played all that well, and it was more Texas collapsing. And now that Texas has lost this game, it is going to be curious how Tom Herman gets treated down the road, and how much more they're going to look at him if he keeps dropping games this year, because it's just he keeps losing his big games. And this was, again, another opportunity, a ranked team against an unranked team. Mm-hmm. And he lost.
Yeah.
Again. I mean,
it's gonna be one of those up and down years for Oklahoma. I will say though that Ellinger touchdown, and I think I don't know if it was before overtime or in overtime. That was one of the funnest quarterback scrambles I've seen in a while. That was fun to watch him, get that touchdown. It also looked like Oklahoma didn't want to tackle him too. So, so let's get into our last and final game of Week 6, the big one, the one that we all going to be talking about. Mizzou beating LSU, and as you've seen from our title card, is this the end? Is this a rebuild year for LSU? TJ, what do you think? Is this it? They lost.
The game answered that for us. Yeah, it is. I mean, that defense. I mean, I could probably average 5 yards a carry if I was playing against that LSU defense. I mean, man, they just look out of place. I keep comparing it, like they look like Todd Graham's defense at ASU my freshman year there in 2016. I mean, guys are just running wide open. The offense, surprisingly, it doesn't look like the problem. Like, they obviously had to replace Joe Burrow, but Miles Brennan in week 3, he looks really comfortable. He looks really comfortable now. I mean, Terrence Marshall is getting open. He had 230 yards this week and 3 touchdowns.
I was wondering about Marshall because of what's his name being out. So, but he's playing. Yeah, but he's playing well with the.
He is. And the defense. I mean, my goodness, they are going to get shredded this year. Unless there's like a miracle fix that I don't know about, like. They've gotten moved on every single week, and like they're going to play Alabama. I mean, Mac Jones is gonna cook all right.
Yeah. And both quarterbacks over 400 yards, and it's like, ugh, it just wasn't. It really was not a fun game to watch. I mean, if you like offense, it was a fun game to watch.
No,
if you like sloppy offense, it was a fun game to watch. Nothing was cohesive. Everything was like backyard football. So
it was insane. Definitely a big game. They got Florida coming up next, so we're going to be talking about that.
Postponed. That game.
Oh yeah, it got postponed.
Right? Postponed. Yeah.
Totally forgot about that. Just that fast. I got to make sure I mark that down. But yeah, that got postponed.
Segue into our next segment.
It dodged the bullet this week. But we'll see what happens, man. Because if they would have played Florida, it would have been bad because Florida's a really good offensive team and they can't stop anybody on defense right now. So
it's had 6 touchdowns in that game.
Yeah. For sure. All right, let's get into our question of the day. Our first question is going to be: Big Ten is coming to town. Where's the expectations for them? What do you guys think they're going to be coming on at with a slow start? Since a lot of teams are starting and they're going to be coming on to a slow start, and it's going to be a little bit of what we've seen already with the teams that are already playing now, or you think they're going to be ready because they've been practicing and getting ready before all this? So, Ray, I'm going to start with you. What do you think about what's your expectation for the Big Ten coming in 2 weeks?
I'm expecting them to come out and play good football, to be honest with you. I mean, Big Ten is a big conference, and that's why it's called the Big Ten. But I just think that they're going to come out and they're going to be ready to play. I mean, I just hope that we don't have any more, COVID-19 issues going on. But, I mean, I'm really looking forward to seeing how Ohio State and Penn State early on, to be honest with you.
TJ?
Yeah, I'm with Ray. I'm excited to watch those two. They're both ranked in the top 10 still, despite not playing a game. And I believe, so it's a week from Saturday, right? They come back?
Yes, sir.
Yep. All right. I think they'll be ready. The Big Ten has been like at the forefront when the Pac-12 and the Big Ten decided to not start on time, at least. The Big Ten was like the ones, hey, we want to play. So I know they're raring to get back and play. And I'm probably gonna need one game to watch Ohio State and decide it's like, all right, yep, they're back. Playoff contender. I'll put them up at number 2 right behind Clemson. I think that's all it's going to take because I think Justin Fields is unbelievable.
Wow. All right. Well, we definitely say, I'm excited about it because I get to see my Wolverines lose to Ohio State this year. So
we know how much you love Ohio State, Jerome. So
you're right. Yeah, Ohio State guys love it. But I'm definitely looking forward to see what some changes that maybe they did in the offense. Having Mr. Joe Milton in instead of Dylan McCaffrey. So I'm very curious because he's more of a runner. So I want to see how the offense works with him, and we'll see how it goes. But let's get to our next question. Who is more impressive to you so far, Alabama or Clemson? I think I know what TJ trying to say, so I'm gonna let him go first. Go ahead, TJ.
It's not even close. I mean, Alabama almost gave up 50 points to Ole Miss last week. I think there's a gap between Clemson and everyone else right now. I don't even think it's close. I think if Clemson and Alabama played today, it would be a 21-point win for Clemson. I don't think it's close. And you could say the same thing for Georgia because Stetson Bennett, I think, would really struggle playing against Clemson. I mean, there's just no team that is more complete right now than Clemson. You have the best quarterback in the country playing the best he's ever had. You have arguably the best running back in the country playing at the top of his game. He's won the ACC Player of the Year 2 years in a row. I mean, they have an elite offensive line, and then defense on all 3 levels is just so good. I just don't think it's close.
I don't understand how they lose so much on defense every year, and it seemed like every year they didn't lose anything.
Yeah, exactly. It's just bizarre,
right?
Exactly what TJ just said. Everything he just said, I agree with 100%. I think Clemson is head and shoulders above just about everybody else in college football right now. I think that's why I'm looking forward to the Big Ten coming back and seeing how good Ohio State is, because maybe that's the team that winds up, because Alabama's defense is not playing well right now. Now, they have a long way before the end of the season. We'll see what Nick Saban can do with getting them back on board. But right now, I think Clemson is easily the number 1 team in college football. And I'm hoping Ohio State or Penn State, or you know what, we'll see what Michigan does. We'll see if there's another team besides for Alabama that can make noise. But right now, Clemson is way, way more impressive than anybody else in college football, including Alabama.
Don't get my hopes up like that. Anyway,
let's slow down here.
Slow down a little bit. I'm tempering my own expectations. I'm a realist as a fan, and I know how my team is. It's not looking that great right now, but we'll see. You never know. So let's get into week 7. We're gonna do our week 7 picks. One of my favorite segments in this each week, picking our games, seeing who was right, who was wrong. So let's get right into it. We're gonna go to BYU versus Houston. BYU is favored by 5. Both undefeated teams. Houston only had 1 game so far. They look very impressive though. Ray, who you got?
I got BYU. I got Brigham Young. I think that Houston is a good team. I think that BYU is a better coach team and just a more prepared team week to week. So I'll take them.
TJ?
Yeah, BYU's been really good this year, and they have a potential first rounder at quarterback in Zach Wilson. So I'm gonna roll that. They're only 5.5, only favored by 5.5. So that's a pretty good number to jump on, anyways.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's going to be a good game. I do think BYU is the better team. I need to see a little bit more from Houston. Like I said, it was only 1 game. It did look impressive, But I do want to see a little bit more from Houston before I jump on that bandwagon and be like, hey, yeah, they look good. So only one game so far, and we'll see how it goes. Let's get to our next game. We got Kentucky versus Tennessee. Tennessee is favored by 6. Kentucky coming off that very, 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 very favorable game just now against Mississippi State, only allowing 2 points in a game. That tells you a lot about that game. So, TJ, what do you think?
I take Tennessee again. I really like the number, and I think Tennessee's more talented across the board and a little more. They got humbled a little bit by Georgia last week. I mean, they actually led at halftime. I don't know how they did that. And then Georgia came out and smacked them in the second half. But this is a really talented team. I mean, they're obviously only in about, I think, is it year 3 or year 2 under Pruitt? 3 or 2? I can't remember off the top of my head.
This is the 3rd season, I believe.
3rd season, okay. So they're getting there, obviously, but they're recruiting so well, and they have been playing just unbelievable outside of obviously last week against Georgia. And Kentucky, they beat Mississippi State, but the offense wasn't really lighting it up. Their defense played really well. The offense wasn't really lighting it up. Terry Wilson struggled to pass the ball. Ran the ball somewhat effectively, but I'm going to go with the talent on the Tennessee side.
Right?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Tennessee too. I mean, I like Kentucky's defense a little bit. It's not bad, but I think Tennessee is a more talented team. Will probably win the game.
I'm going to say this. I don't think this game is going to be even close. I don't think it's going to be close. I think Tennessee is going to kill Kentucky. I just think that I would say at least 2 touchdowns. I'll pick 2 touchdowns on this.
Yeah, so, I don't even think that's very Jerome. I don't even know if that's bold because they got outplayed by Auburn, and we don't even know how good Auburn really is. They lost to Ole Miss at home, and then they beat a scuffling Mike Leach led Mississippi State. So we don't know, but we do know that Tennessee's good.
Yeah, that win by Kentucky last week was more to Mississippi State playing really sloppy, and that's really what happened to them. So
yeah, and I was very surprised by that line. That 6-point line. I was like, man.
I'm sorry, Jerome. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
That is the only thing that surprised me. The line. It's only started. What's it 6 now?
Yeah.
Is it 6? I mean, that's that to me. Tennessee should be at least a 10-point to two touchdown point favored. That's the only thing that surprises me about it.
Definitely. All right, let's get into our next game. This line actually changed on me a lot. So we got Miami versus Pitt. Miami's favored by 13.5.
Holy.
Yeah, it moved. It was not that
flowing on Miami. When I was looking today, it was 10.5.
Exactly. It was closer. I think I checked it on Monday. It was I think it was 7 or 8. So I was like, all right, let's talk about it. And
we were loving Miami, and I'm gonna back. I'll back America in the money. I think De'Ara King in Miami. I mean, they obviously got humbled a lot last week, but I think Miami's a lot more dynamic than Pitt is, and I think they'll come out and they're playing at home. I'm not sure if they'll cover 2 touchdowns, but I think they'll come out and win.
Right.
I agree with TJ. I mean, I only have 10.5 point line, to be honest with you. I think Miami will come out and play a little bit better this week against Pittsburgh. So I think that Miami is a better team. De'Ara King did struggle a little bit throwing the ball last week, so I expect him to play a little bit better this week. So I'll take Miami.
Against a Pitt team that has been shredded through the air 2 weeks in a row.
Pittsburgh's front 7 is not playing as well as we expected them to right now. So we'll see.
Yeah, they got some players that opted out, obviously, too. So that doesn't help.
I mean, I just that's the one thing I hate about this season, this opting out stuff. I mean, I just don't understand it, man. I really don't.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand guys that think they're going to be high draft picks, but you don't know. No, this is why, again, I don't want to get into paying players. If you're going to make business decisions, though, man, then don't tell me I should pay you because you're making a business decision that has nothing to do with the team you're playing for right now. So,
I agree. All right. Let's get to our next game. We got Auburn versus South Carolina. Auburn is favored by 3. Wow. That tells you a lot about Auburn. Ray, who do you think is going to win this one?
I'm going to take Auburn, but again, that 3-point line has me a little bit scared because you would think Auburn versus South Carolina, it should be like a 10, maybe a 6 or 7 point spread. But I'm going to take, if I only got to cover 3 points, I'll take Auburn easily. So
yeah.
I don't know. I was looking at this game. I honestly don't know. I think this is only the 13th time these two teams have played. I believe when I was looking it up. 13th time ever, and I think South Carolina's only win was in 1933. If you want to brush up on your history a little bit, honestly, I'm gonna go with South Carolina because I don't trust Bo Nix at all, and he's gonna be on the road.
That part of it, I believe, I agree with you. In 1933, man, that's even older than I am. Come on, that's crazy. I don't even want to know about anything.
Let's see if I can find it while Jerome makes his picks.
Okay.
TJ, I'm siding with you, my man. South Carolina is home. That's my biggest thing. They're home. And like we said, Bo Nix is up and down, up and down. He's too inconsistent. I think that South Carolina is going to pull this off.
Okay, that is true. So the two teams haven't played since 2014. And only 12 times, now 13 times in all. Auburn is 10-1-1 in the series, but South Carolina's only win came in 1933. That is quite a while ago.
I am a fan of South Carolina football. I think they're a pretty well-coached team, and they usually play hard football all the time. But like you said, Bo Nix is up and down, so this is up week, right?
For us.
We'll see. All right. Our next game we're going to talk about is Duke versus North Carolina State. TJ, what do you think about this one? It's only a 4.5 point favorite for NC State. I'll give my judgment after. What do you think, TJ?
Yeah, I'll take NC State. I mean, Duke has turned the ball over more than any team in the country, and NC State has been has played well the last couple of weeks, and Duke's only win of the season has come against Syracuse. So I'm going to go with NC State.
Sorry to laugh at Syracuse fans. I will
go board with TJ, and I will take NC State. Duke has been very sloppy, and I think NC State will probably just hold off and win. So
it's crazy because Duke got some players that I like on their team. They got some individual players. I'm like, man, they got some talent over there, but they can't get together. They've been turning the ball over, like Ray said. I'm gonna go with NC State. I don't think it's gonna be as close as what was it? What did I say? 4.5? Yeah, 4.5.
4.5. Yeah.
I think they're at least 10 points. I think
it's gonna be that too. Yeah, I don't trust that at all.
So let's get to our next game. Texas A&M, who just came off that huge win, it's favored 6.5 to Mississippi State, who just came off of that terrible loss. So, Ray, who do you think is going to win this one?
I'm going to take Texas A&M. We keep thinking they're going to be playing pretty good football, and we'll see what happens. But I'll take Texas A&M.
Did I say Texas A&M? I might say something else. I feel like I didn't say Texas A&M.
I thought you said
I did. Okay. All right. Anyway, so sorry, Ray. But yeah, TJ, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, we know Texas A&M is talented. Like we've known that for years and years and years. Like they recruit so well, but like they just never been able to consistently put it together and win, which would obviously lean towards them losing this game on the road as a favorite, as a ranked team. But I don't. My confidence in Mike Leach and Mississippi State is out the window. They're going to have to prove it in this game. So, and if it's only 6.5 points, I will easily take Texas A&M.
Yeah, I'm going to do the same. This game worries me a little bit more though, because like I see what they did to LSU, and I know that LSU's defense is not as good as it was, but like you see a team that plays so like there's usually when bad teams win, they don't play that good against really good teams. And then to lose that bad where they don't score at all on offense, like that concerns me. I don't know what to expect, but I am going to say Texas A&M is the more consistent team. I am going to go with them, but I think I'm going to go with a smaller line. I think I'm going to go with a 3-point win rather than the 6.5 they are favored with right now. Just my opinion, but just keep an eye on that line. It might be closer than you think because I don't know what team I'm gonna get with this Mississippi State team. I don't know. Let's move along. So we got the Oklahoma game that got canceled, so I didn't take that off my sheet either. So let's talk about the Bama. Let's make this our last game because we're a little short on time. So let's talk about the Bama versus Georgia game. I think this is going to be a good game. This is probably going to be the game of the week. Bama is only favored by 4 points. Ray, who's going to win this one? Number two.
I have Alabama by 6, but I mean, I'm going to take Alabama to win the game, but I'm going to take it grudgingly because Georgia's defense is pretty good. But I think Alabama is a little bit more talented and will outscore Georgia, to be honest with you.
Yeah, much more talent on offense.
Yeah.
And even though we might not get Nick Saban on the sidelines, which it's still – we have 3 days between now and then. It could be a false positive. We have no idea.
It could be. My concern is that maybe more people test positive, and then
that's my concern too.
Yeah,
I don't trust Kirby Smart. I don't. So Nick Saban obviously undefeated against his former assistants. I believe 21-0. I think after a win against Kiffin last week.
Yep.
And Kirby Smart both times Kirby Smart has coached against Nick Saban as head coach of Georgia. He has been thoroughly outcoached. I mean, both times they have had second half leads, and he's just made terrible decisions. I mean, just terrible decisions to lose the game. So we can look at the SEC title game 2 years ago that Jalen Hurts bailed Bama out of. I mean, they have the ball on the 50-yard line, and they're punting, and they fake it. Instead of just going for it, they fake it, fail. Bama drives down, scores a go-ahead touchdown. Then, of course, the national title game with the Tua game, obviously. And I can't bring myself to trust Kirby Smart. And it's being played in Tuscaloosa, so I'm gonna have to pick Alabama. They have better playmakers on offense. I think Jalen Waddle's gonna break one because he seems to do that every single week. I mean, that dude is fast. And I don't know if I can trust Stetson Bennett to carve this defense like I saw from Ole Miss last week.
Yeah, TJ, you took the words right out of my mouth. It's like I feel like every time Kirby Smart plays Nick Saban, even though again we don't know what's the deal with Nick Saban, if he's gonna play, if it's false positive, if the team's even gonna play. So this game's gonna be very, something to keep an eye on. But every time he plays him, it feel like he gets nervous at some point. Like, oh man, and then like panics and calls a horrible play that sets them back even more. And you're like, what? Like you feel like what happened because they're in the game, they're playing like they should be, and then all of a sudden it just falls apart. And it's usually his play calling. Some head scratching play calls that happen when he plays against Nick Saban. And he's just like, why did he do that? Like, you had the game, and it happened like 3-4 times, like the last couple of years, like you said. So,
and I have one more thing, Dad. I'm never ever forgiving Kirby Smart for letting Justin Fields just walk out the door. I mean, what was he watching at practice? What was he doing?
He was probably thinking about Nick Saban.
Yeah, probably.
Well, I think we said it last week. Kirby Smart gets tight in big games, and that's all there is. Just think about it. Like the biggest game he won in overtime against Oklahoma, obviously in the semis of the playoff. But outside of that, I mean, the big games they've played, they beat Baylor last year in the consolation prize for losing to Joe Burrow in the SEC title game. But I mean, I think
he's not looked good against teams he's equally talented against in big games.
Yeah, maybe if Nick Saban isn't there, and Nick Saban seems to be his kryptonite, maybe if he's not there, maybe he won't coach tight. But until I see him do it, I am a fan of Kirby Smart, the recruiter, not Kirby Smart, the coach.
Bing, bing, bing. Yes, I agree with you so much, Ray. Oh, my goodness. Justin Fields is lining up for the Bulldogs this week. I mean, they're probably favored by touchdown and easily win this game, but they're not because I just can't forgive him for that. I don't know how you let that happen. He just laughed. He just like.
There are certain things that are unexplainable, and that is one of them.
Yeah.
You know?
But I'm definitely excited to see this offense, the Alabama offense versus that Georgia defense. It's going to be a good game, I think. I want to see a team. I want to see if a team going to actually be able to stop this passing attack of the Alabama, because they got some great receivers. Obviously, Najee Harris is a really good running back as well. So there's a lot. I want to see this. The Georgia defense been playing really well. And I want to see that clash. I definitely want to see that clash. I don't think Alabama's going to win because, like we talk about with the Kirby Smart thing. But it's definitely going to be a matchup I want to see. Nobody been able to stop those speedy receivers. I want to see if they can at least slow them down. We'll see. Well, that's going to do it for us today, guys. Thank you so much for coming in. Please make sure you check out our Discord. So down below, we have the Discord link. So go in there. You can go in there and ask your questions. We also have fantasy football, which Ray's in that league as well. We got fantasy football league, so make sure you check that out. But anybody have any fantasy football questions, or if you want to hang out with me and TJ while we're talking college football during the games, come in there, check us out. The Discord channel is right down there. And also make sure you check us out on InsideTheHaskins.com, where you find all our content. Our podcast, games, player interviews, a lot of players that we talk about. We interview some of them. So make sure you check that out at InsideTheHaskins.com and on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and also check out our YouTube. So make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel where we have gaming, player interviews, Throwback Thursday videos, and all that as well. So please make sure you check that out. This is Jerome Jones. We got TJ in the house. We got Ray in the house. Thank you guys so much. And we see you again next Wednesday at 7 o'clock. Thank you so much. And we see you next time. Peace.